Good evening, the bold family. Welcome to our analysis, the talk of town. I want us to look at it. I know I've taken time. As I said, my wife has been ill, so for better part of the day I was in the hospital. Yeah, and we are praying for the best. But then I'm here. I want us to talk about what happened today. Kindly, the contribution is still going on. I decided just to do a 7 days challenge to collect the little I can get to help me sum up, because the cost is a bit overwhelming, the bill is a bit overwhelming, but things are going to be fine. The number is up there, and I'll appreciate for to have. Kisumu Senator Tom Ojenda led a team which was comprised of other 8 legislators from ODM party. Gideon Ochanda from Bondo, Karoli Omondi, Suba, Elisha Odhiambo, Gem, Shakiri Shabir, East, Kisumu East, Rongo, Nyamita, Mark Nyamita Uriri, and Awendo, and then Jalango from here in Nairobi, Langata. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts? I want us to look at that number. I want us to make, what are you seeing in that figure? Tom Ojenda has been a very close associate of Raila Odinga, by the way, but he was angling for the governor's seat in Kisumu, but it seems the professor has left his deputy then to dangle around Raila, and his deputy would be in contestation, will be contesting for that seat on ODM, for that ticket on ODM. And I think the professor might be feeling a bit uncomfortable. The other members of parliament that we're seeing there, apart from Jalango, are serving their second terms, and I don't think they have anything to lose. If anything, they may not even come back, even though to go. The only person I wonder why he made his way there is Jalango. But I want to look at it in your eyes. Out of the 9, Raila's spies also part of it. In here, what are you seeing? I want to make some 3 observations we're seeing here. There is no Wiper MP. And you can see that the president is using the institution of presidency to crumble the parties. It started with Jubilee, I think the day Raila was holding the Kamkunji rally. Then now ODM, I can tell you, next will be Wiper, and maybe the other parties. I'm seeing the presence of Eliud Owalo. That makes it political. And the absence of MDG is also raising questions. I have to repeat and tell Kenyans here that the members of parliament from ODM, and I want us just to lose what they're telling us. They're saying that meeting was a follow-up of President William Ruto's tour of the region, and it's because they just wanted to keep tabs of the development, maybe projects that were to be initiated by them. I am wondering what is going on, because when President Ruto was in Nyanza, he was welcomed by elected ODM leaders, led by the governors. No single governor was in that meeting. I don't know which follow-up we are talking about. I think President Ruto knows one thing called gaining quick political excitements, contingency measures, and they do not have the long-term goal. However, for these MPs, the impact of this move will have a long-term repercussion on their career. But for William Ruto, he's not interested into how these guys are going to moving forward. He's interested into the moment. I'm checkmating Raila. Things are moving, and that is what is it. This is what I have gathered. I was trying to talk to some few people around. After the hospital, I was in Nairobi hospital. Ruto mission with these MPs, he sent some mixed signals to the population, and it's meant to maybe send some message to Raila Odinga base. I understand that the MPs were actually asked to form a counter caucus And even if willing and be able, they can even form a political party or go through the MTG way on the radar. So that, and I'm told some are a bit uncomfortable with that, so that when they form that caucus, it can counter the ODM or what the SMU team are doing, especially in the context of Nyanza. And by then, let me say, I called one person, a very senior person within the ODM ranks, who was telling me that during William Ruto's tour in Nyanza, they were elected, where ODM took charge, ODM elected leaders took charge of that, of the process, and some MPs were a bit uncomfortable. That's the truth. If you want to know that it's nothing to do with the follow-up, what is Jalango doing there? Jalango is not from Nyanza, Jalango is here from Nairobi. Look at Ewalo. Where does Ewalo plug in? His ministry is that of ICT. I don't know if there was a promise that is stemming from the Ministry of ICT there. There is no governor, no single governor there. So I'm wondering which follow-up. I think the only follow-up I know is that of Orengo meeting Murkomen, who is talking about something on road. So what are they, honestly? What were they following up? The other thing they were also told is they suppress messaging of Raila with the development agenda. That, hatutaki siasa, tunataka maendeleo. That's what is happening. And the third aspect was, Ruto was also asking them to plan on another development of the region, follow-up of those projects, probably maybe after Magoha's burial. And I can tell you, what do you expect after this? In Magoha's burial, some of these MPs, if they happen to attend, I think they can cause chaos. And what William Ruto is actually targeting here is chaos within ODM. Chaos within ODM. And it had started. Even at the Jacaranda rally, when Gaucho was making his speech, you will wonder on whose side is he speaking on. So when these members of parliament, some members of parliament were actually saying that the MPs were threatening that they've been using Raila's name, then when they get to power, they forget about Raila and now they start pursuing their own interest and this and that. It was already showing that someone was already sending some warning shots to the Rebel MPs, especially the ODM-Rebel MPs. Ruto would want that violence, that commotion within ODM, because when they go to Magoha's burial, there is already a looming fireworks between Ruto and Uhuru, and probably Ruto might actually experience a harsh reception there. I want to believe so. But the one with the ODM would make it something overall. So it's something. I know he would actually come out, and if he's booed there, ata blame it, atasema it's because of these MPs in the other. So there is a lot of it into it. I'm waiting if they are going to help William Ruto achieve that. So this is there. I want to answer some 3 questions that some of our viewers had been asking me. I want to try to summarize this move in just some 3 questions. 1, I want to debunk the notion that dev meeting is for development. It is peddled as one for development. That statement of we are going for development is not meant for the non-Luos. That message is targeting the Luos in the community. The people on Homa Bay, Kisumu, nini. It's telling them that tumeenda kutafuta maendeleo. And you know, it's not something new. If you listen to the Elido camp, including these other Owidi team, they have been talking about we've gone for maendeleo and Raila is anti-maendeleo. So I listened to the Bondo member of parliament. Who is this? Ochanda. Ochanda is saying it was basically a follow-up of President William Ruto's development tour in Nyanza early last month, because there were indications that he may change his mind following anti-government rallies led by Raila Odinga. That's what MP is saying, that walienda kukutana na yeye kwa sababu kulikuwa na signs that huenda hatapeleka zile development. And so I'm wondering, what is it? Let me ask you guys a very simple question. As things stand now, Some of these MPs, some are looking for re-election. That is the good professor from Kisumu, Tom Ojenda, and Raila Odinga, and Jalango might also look for re-election in Nairobi. I don't know, maybe the other areas, maybe, but of course, Jalango might survive that area. He has been also getting support from, there's also a bit of that support from William Ruto's side, so he can dangle his way. But there are also others there who may not even get election. They've served their second terms, and maybe they're also a bit exhausted in terms of their substance to the electorates. So, as things stand now, if Jalango amepewa Raila hapa na Uhuru hapa, or let's just go straight, someone like Tom Ojenda, who wants to vie as a governor or a senator in Nairobi in 2027, if kuna Uhuru way, kuna Raila way hapa na kuna Ruto way hapa, where would they go? They will stick with Raila because they want the remaining the population, rather they want to get that election. Now, what is the influence? What is the magic of them turning to go to Ruto? In game, I know that Elisha Odhiambo at one point wanted to be the Secretary General of ODM party, if I'm not wrong. He wanted to take over from Sifuna. You know, he said he wanted to take over from Sifuna. So this again, this team has changed. And why would you think, and sometimes I buy the narrative, that it's a possibility that there is some tokens that are used to, you know, it's packaged as development, but it's not that. Maybe some tokens have been thrown left, right, and center. Because what would actually influence them? While they know very well that Jalango is an MP here in Lang'ata, ni development gani atapeleka huko Bondo? In Siaya. He comes from game. But which development is he taking in game? Nothing. That's why I'm telling you that to some extent, some are there and some are there to represent Raila. Now, these guys are serving their own interests. That's what the people of Nyanza and the people of this country must understand. Don't be lied to. And for me, I've always tried to make my analysis be as factual and as straight as it should be. But let's debunk the notion that these people are from development. Which development? You know, it's political, and there's nothing wrong. If you want to make a political move from ODM to UDA, it is allowed in the constitution. Politically, you can make that move. But going to dangle it with a notion here that I'm taking development to the people is what is political lie. A president has been crying out, I want a strong opposition. But is then taking those opposition MPs to government. But at one point, tuliambiwa sitawapatia kazi. Don't know. So how are they people going to question him if he's going to... Okay. So, their second question is this. Can this plot detonate Raila Odinga's game plan pushing for Ruto's legitimacy? Can they detonate Raila? Because one of the messages they've been told is here, suppress Raila Odinga's messaging about this and that. And again, they're targeting some of the young MPs there. You know, they don't want bit of rallies to pick up and to take. Can it detonate Raila? I'm saying, I covered IBC Must Go in 2015. I was an intern. And I remember, tukienda anniversary towers, tukiingia kwa lift, moving up and down, kwa sababu kulikuwa kuna tiaga suko. And when you look out, I saw the faces of Orengos, Raila, something. No, I've never seen Ochanda anywhere. Leave alone this one. Even the ABC Must Go, I did not see Ochanda. To say the truth, some of these people are cool kids that can really not go. They're not in the fight of revolutionary. Jalango was, when I was in Radiomaisha, Jalango was sitting opposite to me. He was not my boss, but because I was an associate producer, so he was my what? He was my, he was presenter. These are cool kids. These are celebrities. You don't expect them to go to the state. And of course, I'm wondering whether Raila needed numbers. You know, he didn't need numbers of, he doesn't need the numbers of leaders. What he needs are the numbers of the population. And I can tell you, the more Raila remains alone, the more he cuts an image of a man that is lonely, a man that has been left alone. That image is very important, even to bolster his own political weight. Now, how does it push for Ruto's re-election? I can tell you that in 2017, Ruto used hustler stories and here and there. It's never there. Now, it's no longer there. What Ruto is doing in 2027 is to go back to the cookbook of Jubilee and what has been politics of tribalism. These leaders here will be tasked to campaign for William Ruto in their counties. And they will be paraded there as people who have defected and have seen the essence of working with government and to show this and to show that. That's what's going to happen. So, I can say that it cannot bolster because si tumeambiwa ni raia wanapiga kura, si viongozi. That's what the president says, that ni raia wanapiga kura. If Raila will successfully go back to the people where he belongs, then this group are not going to move him an inch. This group are not going to create anything, because what Raila needs to do is to go back to the people. Go back to where he belonged. He belongs to the people. He will go back to the population. So that as these things then move here and there, it just becomes as more of a contingency. Now, Ude spoke about issue-based politics. So I'm wondering how this would then come out to play and whether this would actually come out and show now. I can tell you guys, I am not against people crossing over politically. I say personally, I was on record saying that I have no problem with Sabina Chege's crossing over. Politics about interest. But it would be wrong for people who are elected and they fell on the majority, they fell on the minority side under the ODM, with the same people that have been insisting that we want to put William Ruto in check and we want to do this and do that, can easily betray the people. To some extent, it's a betrayal. And what I see, Ruto might have realized, Ruto is realizing that the scorecard issue, the scorecard is never there. So it's not what is going to, the scorecard is not going to float him. It's a currency that cannot sail in the public as we talk. So what he's simply doing is, he's now going to buy the numbers. There is no difference between this photo being taken in front of the Statehouse and the other photo ilikuwa inachukuliwa nyuma ya ofisi akiwa current residence when people were putting up the UDA caps. It has everything, anything and everything all to do with the UDA politics. It has nothing to do with development in Nyanza. We have to say it as it is. What we know is that MPs have the bursaries that they are taking photos donating to vulnerable families. The budget process is going on. If you are taking development, why are we seeing things, suggestions in the budget statements that maybe are supposed to be done under in the budget? Nyinyi unakutana na Raila na president, alafu mnaambia watu mnaenda development, but huko budget inaendelea National Assembly and there is nothing of your input. So which development is it? We need to tell the people the truth. Sometimes we just need to separate between some very cagey politics and what exactly it is. There is no problem, but just to make it clear, political, nothing to do with development for the people. That's my take. Let's see what it goes. I can tell you that next is Wiper, and William Ruto wants to whip these MPs to join the new Kenya Kwanza party that is going to be formed. Who knows? They know that they make the sacrifice. If they get second term, they'll be absorbed, government kubwa, and life moves on. That's my take. Let's meet in the next, guys.